Hey guys, it's Car. I'm back. Alright, so if you just watched my last video, we watched the most iconic first and second generation K-pop music videos, or, at least some of them. And now we will move on to the third and fourth generation in this video. So I have a list of what we'll react to today. And I've seen these videos before. Some more than others, but I picked some of the most famous, popular, iconic groups that have really defined the cultural reset of the third and fourth generations. So for third, we have, of course, the Kings, BTS, and then the Queens, Blackpink. We also have the iconic Twice. So I don't have any SM artists on this. Of course, the third gen groups for SM are EXO and Red Velvet. Two groups that I adore very much, especially Red Velvet. They are my alt group, and they were definitely a third gen leader, of course, among the big three. Unfortunately, we only do have time for 3 videos for each generation, so as iconic as Red Velvet is, and of course EXO, we're just gonna react to BTS, Blackpink, and Twice, just because they do have the most viewed music videos from that era. Definitely want to, honorably mention the great SM leaders of the time. And this was a time when K-pop was really taking off, like BTS definitely have paved the way for a lot of groups moving forward from that time. They debuted in 2013. They were basically at the forefront of when Generation 3 started. They, of course, BTS wasn't the most popular when they did debut, but by the time that 2016, 2017 hit, they really started to get going in popularity wise. And then by, the late teens, the early, 2020, the most famous K-pop group of all time. We'll watch a video before fourth gen it really started, and then we'll do the same with Blackpink and Twice. So without further ado, let's get going. Okay guys, so we're gonna start off with watching Twice. I'll watch Twice's TT, and that was one of their most iconic, famous songs, pretty early into their career. They debuted in 2015. They came out with TT in 2016. I think most of these videos from 2016. This is a defining moment in the third generation of K-pop. Let's check it out. I really like the song. It's cute. It's like, classic Twice. But yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, play. They had pretty fun concepts from back in the day. It's like you can already feel like the different vibe from second to third generation. Like you can hear the difference. And this is such a, I hate to say standard, but clearly, this is a group that is from the third gen. Such an iconic dance. I think third gen is really when dances really took off. You could really tell what song people were performing just by a simple dance move, the point dance. And Twice really had those iconic dances. I use the word iconic so much, but there's no other, I don't have the vocabulary to say any other word. why was Taehyun the funniest one in all music videos? She's so funny. And 2016 was the first year I learned about a bunch of groups. Blackpink, obviously they debuted 2016. Twice, Red Velvet, BTS, they were all really taking off this year. This is pretty much the middle, pretty much dead middle of the generation timeline. 2016 is such an unforgettable year. They're so cute. Now they're so grown. Set up for Knock Knock. TT has 662 million views as of at the time of this recording. That's just like, that's so big. Like, this is the time where K-pop music videos were getting into the like high 100 millions to billions of views. Like, K-pop was really going somewhere at the start of this. So yeah, I mean third gen is just like they paved a new way that first and second gen had pioneered. Like, third gen took it to that next level to set up for the fourth gen. And that's really important to note, that third gen really did its thing with bringing K-pop noticeable global scale, especially with like English versions of songs, Japanese versions of songs, doing so much more promotion in that way. Next, we're gonna do Blackpink, and I will say Do 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 is like their most iconic song, of course. Their most viewed music video, I think, still to this day, maybe. But we're gonna watch Boombaya, because, you know, that's more, it's 2016, it's more in like the dead center of the third generation, and Do 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 was more of like the start of fourth, so I kind of had some influence behind that. Once again, I didn't want to watch any videos that had like meshed into into different generations. We're gonna do Blackpink's debut song, Boombaya. It's still very iconic. People, you know, you can't think of third gen without thinking of Blackpink and Blackpink Boombaya. 3, 2, 1, let's hit it. This is like a very good introduction to their group, about like what they're about. You know, like YG's first group since 21. This was very highly anticipated at the time. To think they'd be like the biggest girl group of all time. It's just crazy. Jennie. And this is very like third gen vibes as well. Like this music video, just like the styling, the set design, sound wise, it sounds more evolved from second gen, but still in that like in between to what we've been hearing more recently. And like more iconic dance moves. Like, whenever you do that, you're thinking of Boombaya by Blackpink. Like, every music video of Blackpink's, you always have that pink and black tint in their sets. I wish Rose dyed her hair something other than blonde these days. And this generation was like when a lot of those late 90s babies were debuting. So like Lisa 97 and obviously Jungkook 97, and then Yeti from Red Velvet 99, like the tail end of the 1990s. This was their generation. So this is like the generation where I share a lot of the same, like this is my age group, you know, like if I were to debut in a generation, I would debut in the third gen, because 97. These are my friends, basically. we are at the same level, age-wise. Yeah, I'd be too old to debut in fourth. Maybe like at the start of fourth, but not now, and definitely not fifth gen. Yeah, this styling, so third gen. The jerseys, the snapbacks, the flannels, and the high-waisted shorts. I feel like everything is so more uniform these days. But like, this was the style from that gen. Yeah, just having fun. I love it. Yeah, I mean, that was just like such a huge song at the time. That was such like a groundbreaking debut from such a groundbreaking group. They really got the third generation going, at least on YG's side. Because I know that they had other boy groups in YG in that generation as well, but obviously Blackpink is just like the most famous. Alright guys, so last video that we'll watch for the third generation is BTS's DNA, and this is going to be 1 year later than those other two songs. DNA came out in 2017, so that's just, you know, kind of pushing the end of the third generation timeline, but still a very, you know, iconic song. And I could have picked like Fire or Idol or Fake Love, but I think DNA is just like, it's a more like a better sound that kind of wraps up what third generation is about. And it still has 1.5 billion views, so it's not like no one's heard of this song. Like, it still has more views than Fake Love and Mic Drop, even like Dope and those songs. Well, yeah, so we'll check out DNA today. It's one of my favorite songs or I guess like at least title track wise, my favorite title tracks that BTS has put out. And this is, I think, one of the first videos that I've seen of BTS. This hits close to home, I'll say. All right, 3, 2, 1, play. I'll never get over the whistle. Jungkook is my bias. He used to be my alt bias. Like, BTS used to be my alt group. I went to their concert. Like, they're the ones that put K-pop on the map like no one else has done before. And it's insane that we're now in the age where they're all slowly enlisting in the military. The fact that they changed the law of South Korea because they had such an impact on that country's economy and society. Like, they changed the Korean law for military enlistment. It's insane. This song is such a good setup for what fourth gen brought as well. It's very like heavy dance sounding, which and fourth gen has a lot of that now, or I guess it did. So I just think this is a good defining moment of like how BTS has changed K-pop forever, because it's not like they sound like anything. They didn't follow trends necessarily. Like, they kind of had their own sound. Like, they did what they wanted to do. They wrote their own music. They produced their own music. Like, BTS is its own entity, and their lyrics are so insane. They're so poetic, I will say. And Love Yourself, Her, the mini album that was a part of this, was so good. Like, I knew nothing about them at the time, and I'm like, I listened to that EP like every day. I thought the CGI was so good, and it is still good. But it was like so cool, it's so revolutionary back then. Like, no one was doing this yet. And there's such good dancers. Like, no one was producing the visuals that BTS was producing at this time. I don't think there was a prettier music video than this. I still can't really think of many music videos that were prettier than the ones that BTS were doing at this time. So good. All right, yeah, that was a good top off of the third gen. You know, all these groups from the big three, because you can argue at the time that it was Big Hit. Big Hit was so like grew so fast and so much because of BTS. I know it's high labels now, but I think BTS, Blackpink, and Twice, they all had such a huge impact on where K-pop has gone. Each of them played such an important factor on shaping the entire genre and influencing its future idols. Today's generation look up to BTS, they look up to Blackpink and Twice. Like, they are now the seniors, and they are like among the first and second gen groups that are like now seniors and are now like the idols of the idols. Like, they are now also the idols of the idols. Now that we have completed the fourth gen and we're going into the fifth gen, they are like old. And it's crazy. It's crazy to like call them that now, just because they were at such a high. They were like, they defined K-pop. Like, they're the biggest artists in K-pop history. If you really think about it, third gen have the most famous idols, even still to this day. I mean, Twice, they took it on an international scale among Asia. Blackpink, an international around the world, as well as BTS, in different ways. You know, I think Blackpink has a different demographic. You know, BTS, a big influence in not just K-pop but the American music market, and many other music markets around the globe. And Blackpink just has, I think, a lot of the mainstream success of like being noticed at the VMAs and headlining Coachella and like things like that, like more of the mainstream media. And BTS, you know, they have like more of like a global impact where they're recognized by even bigger industries like the UN. Like, they spoke at the UN twice. Like, they're a part of like something even beyond music at this point. Insane to see like where K-pop has grown and like how these artists have taken it to something beyond music. Now let's move on to the fourth generation, the latest generation, or one that we have just said goodbye to, or we're still saying goodbye, because very many groups are still very active that have come out in the fourth gen. The first song we'll check out from the fourth gen is Idol's Oh My God. And G-Idol, they're a group that came out in 2018, so the first year that fourth gen started. And Oh My God came out 3 years ago, so in 2020. And that is pretty much the dead center of the entire generation's timeline. So I think this is a really good staple of what fourth gen was all about, continuing those really intense beats and synths and heavy music production. I think third generation was very versatile, but also it still was softer in a way that fourth gen became way more tough. That's how I kind of view as the difference between those two generations. You know, third gen was a little bit more light and cute. Fourth is, you know, it was kind of rare to see. Not many groups continued that cutesiness. It was more about empowerment, being the boss and feeling good about yourself. That concept was a lot more introduced in the fourth gen. And I think it'll be carried on into the fifth gen as well. So, yeah, let's check out G-Idol, or Idols. Oh My God. It's one of their most iconic songs, sitting at 204 million views. It's not as huge as maybe others, but I think with it just being the way it is, it's a really defining moment among fourth gen. 3, 2, 1, play. I just love the like the intro, and you can already feel how heavy this song is. Like the fourth gen is when budgets were really going someplace. Like music videos were on such an insane level. Look at the set, man. Look at the costumes. When I think of fourth gen, like, oh my gosh, when I think of fourth gen, I think of quality. Expensive quality. Like sonically and visually. Dance-wise too, it's so much more like artistic and stuff. Everything's just way more rich. The visuals, like, that's when I said like BTS, they really like put an importance on visuals, where a lot of groups were forced to follow in their footsteps, and they really did. They just took things to a whole brand new level. I love all of idols' voices. Like that heavy bass, that's very modern. Everything's just like more loud. It's just everything's just like more grand. You know, like how they say everything's bigger in Texas? Everything's bigger in fourth gen. In every sense. Production, quality, right down to the idols. That's insane, man. Like, you're still blown away even 3 years later after watching this. It's like a movie. And they're just like close. Like, the thought behind music videos and from this era is like, it's just mind-blowing. Like, you're just speechless. It's like they really took music videos to a whole new height. The amount of detail, the amount of like cinematography, way more investment into K-pop, like now, from this generation until now. Like, K-pop was like a much more known thing on a global scale thanks to the third generation. Like, we were actually seeing it unfold before our eyes. You know, it's just so exciting how it's like they gave K-pop like this recognition now across the globe. Like, everyone, you've heard of K-pop at this point, and there's so many more music entertainment companies, you know, like, of course, the big four, and then HYBE, like, taking over Source Music, Pledis. There are so many more groups that have come out. It's much easier for these groups to become famous way faster than before in the previous generation, just because, you know, social media has involved in such a crazy way. It became so fast. It was basically overnight, where fourth gen, there were so many, like, you hear of those fourth gen leaders just have driven this genre to a crazy high, even when they just debuted that year. You know, like G-Idol, they became so famous in their first year. Les Seraphim became so famous within their first year. Even from debut, they had built such a big audience basically overnight, whereas, you know, BTS, it took time for them. 17, I think it took time for 17. You know, like, it wasn't the same struggle that third gen had faced. Gen Zs were able to, you know, pick up K-pop at a way faster rate, thanks to, you know, also, of course, COVID happened right in the dead center of fourth gen, and TikTok taking off. So TikTok viral songs, TikTok viral dance moves. Like, even if you're not a K-pop fan, you have heard of K-pop songs. I guess there can be fifth gen arguably, but take Cupid by 50-50, for example. Like, I told my friend that was a K-pop song. She was like, what? Because she heard that song all over TikTok. Okay, guys, let's keep going. Sorry I rambled too much, but we're gonna check out our next video, and this is also by a 4th gen leader, of course, Itzy. Itzy Wannabe. It is their most viewed video at 514 million views. So very famous, very iconic with their dance and with their songs. The shoulder, I can never do it. This is like their first big song. Like, Dala Dala was good, and Icy, like, they were big from the get-go, just with them being from JYP and stuff, but this was when they really caught audiences' eyes. Girl groups could be really big. This is when, like, the generation where girl groups were bigger than boy groups, in my opinion, because the girls were just killing it in this generation. And I feel like styling wise, like, it's just more rich too, more high fashion influenced, way more matching and coordinated. Maybe that was just the style back then, but yeah, they took music video production and so much better. The iconic breakdown. I feel like 4th gen really evolved it concept wise. Like, they made sure groups weren't doing the same thing as they were before. They tried to be even more versatile as 3rd gen, and like trying to differentiate like groups. So good, so pretty. Like, seriously, the set designs were so good. I think they really tried to like make sure that each group that had come out during this time was different, whether it be like visually or like sonically, or what message they were trying to go for. Alright guys, so this will be the last music video that we'll check out. It is Stray Kids, God's Menu, such an iconic song that has defined this 4th generation, and I think really it has really defined the sound of what a lot of 4th gen boy groups have put out in this time. This song is also from 2020, so yeah, 2020, even though it was the year of the COVID outbreak, the COVID pandemic, it's really like been a good defining moment in time for what K-pop has become. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a really good halfway point between the beginning of 4th gen and the end of 4th gen. Stray Kids is such a popular boy group. They have so many hits. You know, everything they put out is just massively successful. So they're one of my favorite boy groups currently. So I really enjoy what they do, what they put out, and yeah, they produce their own sound, they write their own songs. Very well respected group, and I think that they will, if not already, they are the idol of idols for the upcoming generation. And they have such a unique sound and have really kind of became like the epitome of 4th gen boy groups, sitting at 418 million views, which is insane. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, play. And like continuing the big sounds, like everything's so loud. I really like loud songs like this. It's very intense sounding, very busy music videos, and very high production. Especially their latest music video was insane. S-Class. That cut is insane. And it's like, as you can see, like, their uniform, their wardrobe, they go with the same vibe. No one's out of place, styling wise. So that was a really big thing in the 4th gen. And I think JYP, you know, Stray Kids, Itzy, JYP, 4th gen groups have really stood out. SM, of course, they'll always be famous. You know, NCT, aespa, special, honorable mentions. I think JYP really did it. Stray Kids and Itzy. I think when I think of 4th gen, I think of them even more than like NMIX and there's another group. There's another boy group in JYP that's like arguably 4th gen, but I can't think of them right now. I mean, it's just like what I mentioned, how 4th gen has just carried on what all these other generations have started. It's just so great to see like the rise that K-pop has amounted to. And I just can't wait to see what the 5th gen has to offer, like what it'll bring. There are a lot of groups that are planned to debut from the big 4. YG's group's about to drop. SM's new boy group's about to drop. Even though aespa is only in their 3rd year, so I think they still will probably use aespa a lot because aespa's huge. It's so huge. Like all these 4th gen groups are huge. They will remain huge well into the 5th gen. That's just how it is. Like obviously Blackpink, Twice, they're still huge in their older generations. That will conclude our journey here today, looking at the 4 generations of K-pop. I think, in my opinion, 3rd gen, it's like I was introduced to K-pop in 3rd gen. You know, they are a lot of the idols, most of the idols are my age in the 3rd gen. I became even more connected to K-pop with the 4th gen groups. You know, I like listen to so many groups that have come out in 4th gen and like obviously still release new music. So those are going to be my favorites. Red Velvet is 3rd. Like I'm always going to stand them. And 1st and 2nd, I have mad respect for. You know, they're not as active. A lot of them have disbanded or retired. If you're into K-pop, you still owe it to the pioneers, you know, the seniors, the big seniors. So leave it in the comments what your favorite generation is, and what you hope to see in the next gen. But I bet it will be great. So, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.